Hello Unlimited Trends, it's Zara back again with Q&A about the law of attraction and how to apply it in practical ways to our lives. So the question again is from Subah. I have posted an earlier question from her and this is her follow-up. So she says, I have another question for you. On the same cruise I was selected in the hot seat and was so nervous but mustered up a question that I had heard Abraham address, but the answer was not clear. So now I would like to ask you. Abraham says every thought that has ever been thought still exists. How does this work and how does it affect our experiences? And my other question was, how does a thought think? If it thinks, how does it affect us as we think? Again, my goal is to control negative experiences and have more joyful moments. All right. So, first of all, amazing question. And I can give you the answer because this is a question I asked myself and have received since then complete clarity on this subject. And I've posted it before, but I can't find it just now. I post so many things on Facebook and YouTube that I've lost track. All right, before I get into it, I'm going to let you know that I will be switching on to my desktop so that I can draw for you. This is one of those responses in which drawing is certainly required. So I'm going to do that in a minute. Before I go, let me introduce myself to you. Hi, I'm ZMAHOON. I write the blog ZMAHOON.com and I'm the author of 15 different books on the subject of law of attraction. On this YouTube channel, it is my intention to answer questions from you, my subscribers, so that I can help you to actually implement law of attraction in your life. All right, I am going to transition to my desktop so that I can share my screen and I can draw the response to this beautiful question. I want to lay the foundation for our discussion. And the very first thing I want everyone to understand is that thoughts are actually a form of energy. And so thoughts have a frequency because they are energy. Thoughts are waveform energy. Energy in this world can take two forms. One is a waveform and the other one is matter. An example is water. Water, anything that you can touch and feel is matter. That's why we call manifestation means that something turns into material things that we can touch and feel. So that's what matter is. But energy can change shape from matter into waveform. Look at it from the point of view of water. Water is matter, but when water evaporates, it changes into two things. It changes into heat and water vapor. And then water vapor condenses and becomes water again. So energy, it's a recycling, it's a cycle going on. It's round and round. Energy becomes matter and matter becomes energy. So energy, as far as science has proven to us already, is that energy can change form, but it can never be destroyed. For example, garbage is when you process garbage, it converts it into heat, which is wave, and soot, which is matter. Human thinking generates new energy. This is a new concept that I understand because of the teachings of Abraham. I did not understand this or know this before, but because of the teachings of Abraham, I understand that human and thinking generates new energy. Because as far as scientists are concerned, scientists feel that energy cannot be, additional energy cannot be created. There's a finite amount of matter in this world, and it can only change form, but new matter cannot be created. For example, raw materials are taken into a factory and a finished product comes out. So the inputs have been processed and into an output, but there has been no new generation of energy. However, when you start really understanding the process of manifestation, and as Abraham says, thoughts become things, that means that our thinking of new thought is creating new energy which can solidify and become new things. So scientists think that Earth is a big recycling facility and we keep recycling energy into newer forms. But that is not the view that we take when we start understanding the teachings of Abraham. So as far as Abraham's teachings are concerned, thoughts become things, and that is the process of manifestation. It involves thinking about the thing that you want. You've got to give your energy to the thing that you want to manifest, then only will it become a manifestation. And this is the thing that goes wrong for a lot of people, because as Abraham says, everything is really two subjects. On one end of the stick is the having of it, and on the other end of it is the absence of it. So do you want the having on it of it, or do you want the absence of it? So I'll just put an H here, having and absence, and an absence. So there are always two sides to any manifestation process. The more you give attention to the having side of the equation, your thoughts focus on having, then it will eventually manifest. And I'm going to explain that to you in more detail. So manifestation or visualization, as we look at it, is the generation of thought energy, which then becomes manifested in the form of matter. All right, so let's go down to the diagram that I want to show you. So here is the diagram. And you are all, if you've been listening to me for a while, you understand that this is always how I draw the emotional scale. Up here is joy, down here is worry, and right at the bottom is despair. When we think thoughts from a place of joy, we think a thought, and now Subah, I'm addressing the second part of your question. So you think a thought, you let it go. That thought now exists independently of you because it is energy. Energy will change form, but it will never go away. Once a thought has been thought, it will never go away. And like thoughts, thoughts of similar nature will band together until they have sufficient momentum, at which point in time a manifestation takes place. So thoughts, this is how thoughts become things. If you worry a lot and you keep generating this kind of thought, then you will have a manifestation that corresponds to the energy of worry, provided you have worried enough. So if there was enough worry going on, then worrisome thoughts, because like attracts like. So worrisome thoughts would band together, and in the same manner as positive thoughts, worrisome thoughts would give rise to a manifestation that represents the frequency of worry, and so forth. Now, the important thing that I want to share with you, which is part of Subah's question, is that how does a thought become a thinker? Well, what I want to point out to you, Subah, as well as everyone else who is here today, is that human beings are human beings because we think. And that's how we are different from everything else in the world. That is how we are different from animals. That is how we are different from plants. That is how we are different from non-living things. We think. Because we are always thinking, we are always vibrating, because thoughts vibrate. And the vibration never ceases, because a thought, once it is thought, never goes away, because it is a form of energy. Well, if it's vibrating, then it is thinking. And that's what Abraham means when they say that the thought becomes the thinker, because it's vibrating. When it is vibrating, it is emitting an emotion, because you see, the thought alone is nothing on its own. It is the energy of the thought, or the frequency of the thought, is based on emotion. And if something is transmitting emotion, then it is thinking. Then the thought becomes a thinker, because the thought has an emotion. Isn't that fun to know? When I understood this, I was just absolutely blown away. And let me take it a step further now. So you will understand this in the light of the teachings of Abraham, that your thought will keep vibrating here at a place of joy. It cannot affect you because it is independent of you. However, if you think enough of these thoughts, joyful thoughts, then a manifestation will take place. Well, guess what? If you're at a place of worry, if you're here on the emotional scale, you cannot manifest this thing, because this thing that you want, these thoughts that you have thought, have been thought from a place of joy. And so you cannot become one with them, because they are independent of you. You cannot become one with them, because you're not on the same vibration as them. Only things of like vibration can come together. So you have to be vibrating. Your thoughts are also vibrating now. And you also have to be vibrating at a place of joy in order to connect with this thing which is being manufactured, because your thoughts are slowly being changed into manifested material objects, forms, events, people, when enough momentum has been accumulated. And this is why Abraham says, forget everything. All you have to do is go up the emotional scale. Do whatever you have to do to go up the emotional scale, because every single thing that you want is over here, high on the emotional scale. So now I want to point out to you the frequency. So you see, what is frequency? Frequency is this dip. This is the frequency. The frequency of the emotion of joy is very different from the frequency of the emotion of worry, is very different from the frequency of the emotion of despair. Love, joy are very fast moving energies, which means that these peaks and troughs are very close together. And the further down you go on the emotional scale, then these peaks and troughs become looser and looser and looser, which means that a lot more energy is needed in order to manifest something from this place on the emotional scale. Because a lot more energy is needed, that translates into what we call effort. And that is why Abraham says to us, as long as we are efforting, we are working against ourselves. So I'm just going to write the word effort here. So that is why more effort and more time are needed when you are low on the emotional scale. So I hope, Subah, that this answers your amazing question, which, let me wrap it up again, was about how is it that the thought becomes the thinker. And the second thing that Abraham says is, a thought, once it is thought, never goes away. And that is why It is true that once you give birth to a desire, your desire never goes away, because desire is a thought and it is vibrating with the emotion of joy, and it will continue to vibrate. And that is how the thought becomes the thinker. Awesome. I love this question. Thank you so much, Subah, for your amazing question. And so if you would like to coach with me one-on-one or in a group format, send me a message. I am more than happy to offer you a 30-minute consultation so that you can figure out whether or not coaching with me is going to make sense for you, whether or not you think that the way I explain law of attraction and help you to implement law of attraction in your life is the thing that will move you forward. All right. Thank you again for joining me. And if you have a question about the application of the law of attraction, please send it to me through my website, zmahoon.com. Bye for now.